While I'm talking to you from the comfort of this chair, is people that literally are cooking and recollecting foods and delivering food when missiles are falling down right and left. And this is the bravery of the people, not only obviously in Gaza, but in many other parts of the world. Unknown heroes. They are the ones that really, in fascinating ways, gives me hope for people.
In a moment, we're with Jose Andres, plus an update on food insecurity here at home. This is One Big Thing from Axios.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Palmieri. And I'm Claire McCaskill. We're the hosts of the MSNBC podcast, How to Win 2024.
We both know firsthand that winning an election is hard. And having been in and around tough races for most of our adult lives, we have some unique insights into what it will take to win this 2024 election.
And some crazy stories to share too. Search for How to Win 2024 wherever you're listening and follow. New episodes every Thursday.
Welcome back to One Big Thing.
Man, Thursday morning, it's about 8:30, and it is 28 degrees out, frosty, and kind of abruptly got cold right around Halloween. Cold, dry, not really prepared for winter yet. I'm gonna have to get the humidifier out, get used to wearing socks and a jacket in the house. It's that transition period.
I've been talking to Jose Andres, founder of World Central Kitchen, about food as a tool of war and how his organization responds to that reality. Given everything that we've talked about, Jose, how do you decide with World Central Kitchen when to leave a place or when they don't need you anymore?
When do we leave? We leave when we see that the restaurants are open, that we see that the banks are already open and the people can access their little services. When you see that the buses are already flowing across the communities and people can come and go. When you see, like in Mexico, the tortilla places open because the Mexican tortillas for them is life. This is the moment. So usually we try to go very quickly up and then we start going slowly down. It's like a slow retreat in a good way. We don't want to take away from the local business because they give free food. I don't want to take away from the local bodegas and supermarkets because we give free bags of food. We want things to go back to what it was. Every place is different. Ukraine is being the longest worked, over 600 days. So, we listen to the people.
Jose, there has been some pushback against World Central Kitchen for drawing attention or resources away from smaller organizations or groups doing this work. How do you respond to that?
When I was in Puerto Rico, I had somebody that said that I was there to make money and to make myself famous. And that same person, 2 hours later, had to go and apologize for the words because I have many ways to make money personally. I think I've done well as a business where I can be playing golf with my friends in Augusta when I'm in the middle of a hurricane. I can be in a Formula One racing and I'm right here in Acapulco, sleeping in places without water and just joining my teams. So what I'm telling you is, it's a lot of people that finger point on what's wrong. And I'm one of those sometimes, but I'm giving the solution of what can be better. We're still learning, we're not perfect.
You're in so much more visible role in global politics. And I feel like you've talked a lot about peace and war. Do you still want people to call you a chef? Is that still your identity?
Well, I want people to call me a cook.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm very good running a kitchen. I have chefs in my team rather than what I am. I connect the dots. I know a little bit of everything. I'm not very good at any specific. But what I know is create teamwork and create the sense that we can use our hands to start making something happen. I've seen here in Acapulco families that they are keeping open their tortilla machines and little businesses, not because they need to make a business, even when they have a lot of mayhem in their own lives, but because they see the sense that their role is to keep pumping tortillas in every community. Those people are unnoticed, but those people right now are doing God's work. Every one of those tortilla places that is open against all odds, you may think, oh, they're open because they're making money. No, they're opening because right now they're saving lives. That's the fact. That's what I see every time I come to these missions.
Kind of in the background of everything we've been talking about is climate change, which is making food insecurity worse around the world, not just in war zones or in places where there have been natural disasters. I heard you quote your father before as saying, when he would invite people over for dinner, saying, if more people come, we can just add more rice to the pot. But as the planet warms, what do we do if we can't grow more rice?
My father, with that saying, I think, was always trying to say that big problems have very simple solutions. But I think here we have to be playing right now defense, offense. We produce more food than could we eat, but we waste so much. But now imagine tomorrow, that one day we wake up, and because we take food for granted, and governments in the world, including the UN, don't have real food policies that are showing meaningful improvement, all of a sudden planet Earth may not be producing enough food to be feeding an ever-growing planet. What happens then? On top of the food waste we keep doing, all of a sudden we will have the biggest mass migration in the history of humanity, because people will have to go to anywhere they think is food. And I believe that food needs to be seen as a national security issue. I believe every president of every government should have a national food security advisor. I do believe that even CIA should be having a team only experts on food. We know that many of the strategic geopolitical moves that every country are doing are in a way to control the food sources. China is 1.4 billion people. They are close to 20% of the world population, but they only have 7% of the farming land. President Xi, he missed the G20 because he had a meeting with rice producers. Everybody forgets that the president of China understands food. He came from a rural area. He grew up poor. She understands the value of food. But we know China is doing a lot of moves to control the food sources in different countries in Latin America and Africa, because he wants to feed these people. I support that. But we need to make sure that food is not going to become another way to start new wars in the years to come. And I told you defense and offense. Everybody's promising everything in the UN. The moment they leave the UN building, those promises are going in the air. When I open a restaurant, I say, I'm opening a restaurant, and I commit money. If you're going to say we're going to fight climate change, what money are you putting? When I tell you we need to play also offense, I am behind any organization, any company that wants to learn how to produce food with less water and using less land. The proteins of the future that will be done in labs, like you make beer, like chicken or like salmon. I'm gonna be always behind those companies, but until we don't have real leadership that puts their money where their promises are, I think this problem will get bigger before it's gonna get any smaller.
We started talking about just the darkness that you see, that you have seen in some of the places where you've worked, but you've also talked about the moments of hope. How do you balance that? How do you keep going?
Sometimes for me, I don't know if it's better to show the moments I cry or I may feel a little bit down.
Yeah, do you cry a lot?
Sometimes. Yeah, I'm the type of crying baby when I watch good movies. I'm very sensitive to life. And that's why maybe I like to be next to those moments. So you can never feel what others are suffering, but at least you can get close enough and you can get a glimpse. So, me, I keep nurturing and I'm feeding my soul just watching amazing people doing the impossible. And at the end, food is an amazing, powerful tool of goodness to fight climate change, to bring peace to the world, to create jobs, to fight malnutrition and to fight hunger. And food at the end is at the heart of everything we are. That's why for me, I will tell everybody, I have my right to be everywhere feeding on everybody. And What is good for me and my children must be good for others, and I will fight to achieve that too.
Jose Andres is a cook and founder of World Central Kitchen. Thank you so much, Jose. Please stay safe. I hope we can stay in touch.
Thank you, Nayala. Did I pronounce your name right?
You can call me Nayala. It's fine.
Oh shit, I fucked it up again. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Yeah, you win.
Jose Andres said every government should have a national food security advisor. Well, with that in mind, Axios Markets' Emily Peck explains that here in the U.S., the high level of food insecurity might be getting overlooked right now as reports of a great economy continue. In 2022, the share of households defined as food insecure rose to nearly 13% from 10% in 2021.
In families with children, these numbers were even worse. An additional 4.1 million kids were living in homes that were food insecure last year. And what food insecurity means is that at times during the year, a family or household can't buy an adequate amount of food for one or more of its members. In families with kids, oftentimes this will mean that parents will skip meals so children can eat, or a household relies on only a very few basic foods and reduces variety in its diet. There are significant racial disparities here too that are very disturbing. 22% of Black households were food insecure, 21% of Hispanic households. Among families with very young children, the numbers were higher. For households with single mothers, about 1/3 reported food insecurity. These numbers were worse in 2022 than the year before, even though the economy was doing much better. So what's going on? Inflation. Basically, food prices increased more than 10% in 2022. And at the same time, it wasn't just food prices going up, it was everything. Rents increased, the price of gas or just to heat your home went up. And when times are tight, sad to say, it's easy to cut back on food. If you don't pay your rent, you don't pay your mortgage, eventually you lose your home. If you don't put gas in your car, you can't get to work. Food is a place where you can skimp, you can tighten the belt, one advocate told me. Now, there's reason to believe these numbers are going to look worse this year. Yes, inflation has eased, but food prices are still very high. And for people who aren't dealing with this, it might come as a surprise. On the markets team, we've been reporting strong economic numbers on unemployment, on GDP, but these food insecurity numbers are a reminder that what the economy, quote unquote, means is very different for different people. And even when it appears to be going great, there are Americans going hungry.
That's Axios Markets' Emily Peck. And that does it for our very first edition of One Big Thing. You can always send feedback by texting me at 202-918-4893 or emailing podcasts@axios.com. The One Big Thing team includes supervising producer Alexandra Boti and sound engineer Alex Sugiura, who also composed our theme music. Asia Whitaker-Moore is our executive editor, and Sarah Kehalani-Gu is Axios' editor-in-chief. Special thanks to Axios' Mike Allen and Steph Kite for their help with this episode. I'm Nyla Boodoo. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll be back with you next Thursday.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Palmieri.
And I'm Claire McCaskill.
We're the hosts of the MSNBC podcast, How to Win 2024.
We both know firsthand that winning an election is hard, and having been in and around tough races for most of our adult lives, we have some unique insights into what it will take to win this 2024 election.
And some crazy stories to share too. Search for How to Win 2024 wherever you're listening and follow. New episodes every Thursday.
LinkedIn presents.
I'm Rufus Griscom, and this is The Next Big Idea. Today, David Brooks on the art of seeing others deeply. I'm here this morning with my producer, Caleb. Good morning, Caleb.
Good morning, Rufus. And the reason you asked me to be here is there's something you want to confess?
Indeed. Yes,
Okay.
there is. And this is something I've never told anyone else, Caleb. I haven't told my mother. I've never told anybody this.
Wow.
When I was 11 years old, I stole a Kit Kat from a convenience store.
Whoa. Did you get caught?
Nah.
One of the revelations in that book was the fact that he didn't.
Really well done. So, Charles Dickens sometimes.
Conducted the London Symphony Orchestra for his own piece on Classical 90.9. Next is 90-Second Naturalist, followed by our 6 o'clock symphony. The 90-Second Naturalist.
Hi there, I'm Thane Maynard. You may have noticed that the shape of a bird's wing is much like that of an airplane's, rounded on top and flat or concave on the bottom while tapering toward the back. This shape provides lift, forcing the air to move faster over the top and reducing pressure. This is referred to as the Bernoulli principle, named after the 18th century Swiss mathematician Daniel Bernoulli. Flying, of course, is complex, and it takes more than just wing shape to stay aloft. All birds use some sort of aerodynamic tactics to conserve their energy. For example, birds can gain altitude very quickly by using energy from surrounding wind currents. When they glide, they can position their wings in such a way that they can deflect the surrounding air downwards. This generates a physical force called updraft, which keeps them in the air without needing to use any extra energy or excessively flap their wings. In fact, micro differences in wing design allow different birds to specialize in various modes of flight. For example, seabirds such as albatross use their wings to channel updrafts generated by the wind blowing over the waves to gain energy.
The 90-Second Naturalist is a production of Cincinnati Public Radio and the Cincinnati Zoo, with support from Cincinnati Public Radio members to spread the good news of the natural world.
Music for your heart, mind, and spirit. Classical 90.9 WGUC Cincinnati.
I'm Megan LaVilla. Come with me for our 6 o'clock symphony on WGUC. Though his fourth is nicknamed Fate, Peter Tchaikovsky must have been going through something, because he also noted that the meaning of his fifth symphony was to be a predestination of fate. We might be right about Peter going through something, as he wrote the fifth 10 years after the scandal surrounding his fourth Fate symphony, maybe as a sort of reflection? We can hear the Fate theme entwined throughout the entire work, and here the Chicago Symphony Orchestra performs.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Lodestar Foundation, inspired by the principle that helping someone else less fortunate is a path to a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life. Learn more at lodestarfoundation.org.
Good evening. It's 6:04, 53 degrees in Cincinnati, 50 degrees in Dayton. This is 91.7 WVXU. I'm Bill Reinhardt. The Indiana Supreme Court says Attorney General Todd Rokita violated attorney professional conduct rules. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Lauren Chapman reports Rokita now says he admitted to the misconduct to resolve the investigation.
The Indiana Supreme Court Disciplinary Commission investigation into Rokita was filed in September. At the time, Rokita defended his remarks, which included calling Bernard an abortion activist acting as a doctor with a history of failing to report. No such history exists. The state Supreme Court's opinion says Rokita signed a sworn affidavit made under penalty of perjury, admitting to misconduct and acknowledged he could not successfully defend himself if the matter were tried. But in a statement, Rokita said he signed the affidavit to save a lot of taxpayer money and distraction. The Supreme Court agreed to a confidential conditional agreement, except Chief Justice Lorraine Rush and Justice Christopher Goff. Rush and Goff rejected the agreement, believing the discipline to be too lenient based on Rokita's position as Attorney General in the scope of the admitted misconduct. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Lauren Chapman.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron gained national attention for his handling of the Breonna Taylor case. He did not recommend charging officers involved in the middle of the night raid that resulted in her death. Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, has been campaigning against Cameron's bid for governor.
It started with Breonna for us, but if he gets in that position, they're going to continuously kill us, and he's okay with that. I'm not okay with that.
Cameron is challenging incumbent Democrat Andy Beshear in this year's race. The replacement for Eden Park's stolen she-wolf statue is being dedicated tomorrow. The recreated Capitoline wolf was installed in the same location as the one stolen in June 2022. There's updated landscaping and signage explaining the statue's history. There's a dedication ceremony tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at Eden Park. Clear skies, not as cold tonight, a low of 34. Mostly sunny, breezy tomorrow with a high of 59. It's 53 degrees now.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Juana Summers.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. In a few minutes, more on the latest and supposedly last Beatles song. It's called Now and Then. We'll give it a listen and find out more about the technology used to produce it.
But first, an update on the situation in Gaza. The largest aid organization there is running out of supplies and fuel. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, also known as UNRWA, is housing some 690,000 displaced Palestinians in its shelters across the Gaza Strip. That is about 4 times the number they're intended to hold. The agency says its operations are crumbling due to lack of fuel, supplies, and unreliable communications. Tamara Al-Rafai is a spokesperson for UNRWA, and she joins us now from Amman, Jordan. Welcome.
Thank you, Juana.
So can you just start, if you can, by giving us an overview of the current humanitarian situation on the ground in Gaza? What are you and your colleagues dealing with exactly?
I call my colleagues in Gaza every day, every morning. First, to check in on them and reassure myself that they're alive. And second, to get details about their living conditions and the living conditions of others. You said it. Almost 700,000 people are now living in around 150 schools. These are regular schools. I want us to visualize a school that is supposed to receive 2,000 people and think of 8,000 people overcrowded in a school with very low access to clean water or to food or to medicine. Very, very few toilets for these huge numbers, and very, very little access to food.
When you speak to them, what are the things that are of greatest need to your colleagues, to the people that they're trying to help?
The most important thing for all my colleagues and what they hear from others is for the fighting to stop. My colleagues report that everyone around them is distressed, extremely, extremely tired. The children are traumatized. What they really need is clean drinking water, which is becoming very scarce, and food. And in order for us to be able to produce
clean water, we need fuel for the water plants, and we are running out of fuel.
Many of us, of course, have been following news of the aid that's been coming in with the trucks that are entering through the Rafah crossing. Is that aid getting to the people who need it most?
We want to qualify and quantify. We've been getting, on average, 20 trucks per day.